1956's The Silver Star is a mildly intriguing, if low budget, and at times just plain amateurish Western B movie. The film sports a solid cast of B movie stars and seasoned character actors, which lifts this pedestrian paced Western into a fairly watchable, if at times frustratingly slow moving dust opera. A young, newly elected Marshal, Greg Leach, played by Earl Lyon, nope, I've never heard of him either, finds himself being called out to a showdown by three surly strangers who have just rode into town and started causing trouble. They've taken over the saloon and have given Greenhorn Sheriff Greg an ultimatum: be out of town by 8 p.m. or else they're going to shoot him down dead. Nobody in town knows who the men are or why they want the sheriff dead, and Sheriff Leach doesn't want to wait to find out, as he gets a severe case of yellow fever all down his back. Yep, Sheriff Leach doesn't fancy the task one little bit. He's a third generation lawman who doesn't want to end up dying in the line of duty like his father and grandfather before him. His fiancée, Marie Windsor, doesn't take kindly to her man wanting to cut and run, and also gives him a man up or else ultimatum. And it's no good him looking for help from the good townsfolk of Boyce. They're all too scared to open their doors, let alone lend a helping hand to the man they've just elected. By the way, what a depressing town this Boyce is. Why would anyone want to live here? So Greg turns for advice from his mentor, former tin star and now heavy drinker Edgar Buchanan. He quit the job when his nerves cut out, leaving him permanently nursing a bottle of rye. So will our taciturn tin star take his advice and reward the people's faith in him by taking action? Or will he hand in his badge and take the next train out of Boyce? Well, this Western only gets a 5.6 score on IMDb, but I actually thought it was an okay otter. Granted, it's uneventful for the most part, with hardly any action to speak of, and with a very downbeat feel. This tumbleweed tale does test your patience at times. And Earl Lyon doesn't help much, giving one of the most wooden performances I've seen since Woody Woodpecker got a job at the local sawmill. He is awesomely terrible, and unsurprisingly only has 5 movie credits to his name. His character is such a boring sourpuss you wonder what his girl sees in him. And Greg, I don't think I've ever heard a sheriff called Greg before in my life. Who picked that name? It's just bad. All wrong. Worst of all is the annoying and overly used ballad sung by Jim Wakely. Enough already with that. But we have the always superb Edgar Buchanan to keep our interest, and it's always great to see the marvellous Marie Windsor, even if she is miscast here as the sheriff's upstanding wife. And director Richard Bartlett does a fine job as the lead baddie, King Daniels, adding menace and mystery to his gunslinger role. We even have horror legend Lon Chaney Jr. pop up here as a shifty lawyer. Great to see him out west, even if he seems out of place, like he's just wandered off one of his horror productions and stumbled onto the wrong set. Even Barton McLean turns up as the town blacksmith, so there are some familiar faces on screen here to make up for a distinct lack of drama or tension. We do finally get some belated action in a protracted and somewhat unintentionally comical shootout finale, where the parties involved play a peculiar game of shoot, hide and seek. A bit odd, and not well staged. In fact, the film isn't well directed. And in the end of the day, after all the baddies' big display of threat and bravado, they turn out to be pretty useless and soft gunmen after all. So lesson number one, don't judge a gunslinger by his patter, when it's his gunplay that really matters. Not a bad little Western B movie then, and certainly not the worst ever made as someone suggested. A just about passable rainy afternoon Western time film.